Okay, good morning. A very warm welcome to the alumni chapter of Chennai. My name is Professor Padmanabha Ramanujam. I'm currently serving as the Dean of Academic Governance at OP Jindal Global University. We are doing this chapter alumni meet in every city, but we are carrying a new vision for the alumni office, and we thought that, it's the right time for us to come to Chennai and interact with all of you. So I would want to take 5 minutes in first welcoming you all. Uh, Please, during the course of the day, we'll spend more time, we'll interact more. But the idea of coming to Chennai is to make sure that as a university, we're still with you. Uh, I think you should all get connected to Vikrant, and you should be on the Alma Connect. What we are starting is also where we are going to start posting opportunities for students who are senior students. I think those kind of opportunities will also start being posted, so students who are already working 5-6 experience can also laterally apply for many positions. That is why Gaurav is here. I would, you should interact with Gaurav. Gaurav is our director OCS for law school, but for all other school, we have director OCS Ritu. So please make sure that you're all with us on Alma Connect, so that for whatever lateral hirings and positions we get, we will be putting it on Alma Connect so that you all can get those opportunities as well. Let me quickly introduce what the new vision we have for the alumni office. The alumni office was obviously there functioning, but we have now 3 ideations. The first ideation being obviously alumni, meet, and alumni, you should get opportunities for networking. So this is going to be every year, at least 1 or 2 events in the cities would happen, and we will make sure that we network with you, you network with your friends, and we bring you into a nice setup and we interact with you. Second is we want the alumni to come and participate in our interactions with our students or on campus. It is very important when we built this institution. Many of you joined us when we were not the best in the world. Thanks, for reassuring. But I think this generation of students need a lot of mentorship. So I would request if some of the students who are already alums, who are already working for 5-6 years, if you want to be, mentors for our younger students, I think, it will be a welcoming thing, and we will sign up whoever wants to be mentors, and we will be assigning you mentees, at least so that you can guide them how their career pathways should be. The second, which we are talking about, is learning. I think as alumni, your learning does not stop. We have started what is called as a continuing education. So if you want to do your master's program, you want to do it, we have launched at least in the law school, we have what is called as the upgrad LLM program, where many of you, while you're working, can still continue with your master's program. And it's an absolute hybrid model where you don't have to, come to the campus or attend classes. So that opportunity is still there for you. So you should keep thinking about your learning. And if you want to take some short courses, which are being offered as elective courses on campus, and some of these are CLADE and LEAD modules which happen online, again, I would want to welcome you as alumni. You can even take those short elective courses, 1 credits, 2 credits. So we want to extend the learning opportunity for our alumni, and these are opportunities which you should use, so that at least in the space in which you are, you can upskill and and move towards some specializations which you may not have had the opportunity to do while you are at Jindal. The third aspect which I really want to mention, which I want to talk to all of you is, as alumni, only thing that we expect is wherever you get an opportunity and wherever you see that our existing students can actually do an internship, please share that information. We have, at least in the law school, 5,400 plus students. In all other schools, 5,000 students. So there are 10,000 students who potentially would want to intern or work or learn under your guidance, or in the companies that you work, or amongst the peer group that you have. So at least we can extend good quality internship opportunities for our students. So learning, mentoring, networking, are the 3 new ideations, and we would also want to welcome some of you to come and interact with our students through distinguished talks that we do online. And every year, one thing that I want to promise is 3 days we will be celebrating Alumni Day on campus, and we want all of you, most of you, to come back to campus, reconnect with other colleagues who are from other cities, and this is exclusively going to be Alumni Day on campus. So this is another opportunity we are extending for you to reconnect with, other alumni, who are not necessarily from your city. With this, I would stop, but I again want to welcome all of you, to please connect yourself with JGU, connect yourself with the juniors of JGU. If you see good potential opportunities, internship opportunities, do share with them. But thank you so much for coming on a Sunday afternoon. I'm very sure that you all have a lot of very good work to do, but thank you so much for coming for this alumni meet. Now I would want to call upon our mentor, Professor of Eminence, Dr. Sanjeev P. Sani, to come and deliver a special address. Thank you so much.
Still 2 minutes to go for afternoon, I believe. Very good morning. I'm very happy that we are doing this alumni meet in Chennai, and I have come to know it's the first time we are doing it. Thanks to the visionary leadership of Padmanabhan Ramanujam, who's the Dean of the Academic Governance, and Gaurav, you all know Gaurav is doing a lot in OCS for law school. When we talk about university, actually university belongs to you. The lifelong you would be called alumni. Paddy and I, or Gaurav, we are not the alumni, unfortunately. And we can never, we are working here, and tomorrow we may not be here, and we are at a different place, but you will continue to be alumni. That is why, who runs the research in this world? Alumni. When you talk about the entire United States research, you'll be surprised to know the money comes from industry. The total research money, quite a few $100 billion, it comes from industry. And when I say industry, it's not that any industry gives. It is the alumni who are there, they give the money for research. Same thing in IIT Delhi. We are not expecting anything from you at the moment because I know that we have started the first batch of the law school has come out in 2014, and we don't expect, it's just 9 years. But point is, ultimately alumni. But whereas in India, it is only 11% money comes from industry. That's why the industrial research is not taking place. But I want to tell you something better, because you are all young and you all can be, if you want to make money, can be billionaire. That is what I need to talk to you today. Every country is basically known for three things: the economic aspects, social aspects, as well as political aspects. These are the three major verticals for any particular country. If you talk about economic vertical, India, our incredible country, the transformation which happened in digitization, you will be surprised to know we are doing 12 times more than North America and Europe together. Digital transactions, 4 times more than China. That is what we are doing now. Most interesting thing for you, as of today, 24th September 23, the GDP is $3.76 trillion as of today. $3.76 trillion. The new data which I'm giving it to you of the last week of the World Bank report, 52% is coming through service industry. All of you, service industry. And then another 26 is coming from manufacturing, and 24 is coming from agriculture. Now just think, these are all World Bank reports, public document. In 2030, this particular GDP, I'm talking about only 7 years, will be $7 trillion. And out of this $7 trillion, 52%, which is going to the service industry, will go to 55%. Not much change, but see, right now where we are, if we talk about 3.74 or 76 trillions, and taking out 52% is like, just think that $1.85 trillion. But out of $7 trillion, when I'm talking about 55%, it is almost touching another $2 trillion exactly. In 7 years, you people, youngsters, are going to generate $2 trillion. It is not the industry who's going to get the money. It is not the agriculture who's going to get money. It is not the engineers who are going to get money. It is not the medical doctors who are going to get money. It is the service providers. Yes, doctor and engineer can also sometimes come into the service provider, but you people as a lawyer, service industry. Anyway, I need not to tell you because lawyers are the richest community in the world. 67% of the total wealth in this world are with lawyers. I was reading a report of a shell company. Their turnover, I'm talking about 3-4 years back, their turnover was somewhere around $800 billion. And out of that, $230 billion have gone to the lawyers because there are a lot of settlement, environmental law issues and other things. That kind of a money, lawyers take it. So when I'm talking about $2 trillion extra in the next 7 years, it will definitely come from you people. With a great pride, I want to tell you that we are number 3 in this world. Having a number of unicorns we have. Unicorns is that you make a $1 billion every year for your company. We are number 2 in the world in the numbers of startups. And we are number 1 in the world in starting startups every day. We are number 1 in this world. Who are these people like you? I also want to tell you the social aspect, the demographic dividend. Why I'm telling you all the time, you are the people. 75% of the population is below 35 years. And India is going to be the most productive manpower related country in the world. Who would be young people like you? I want to give you an instance. Japan is at minus 0.6. Australia is 1. So if it is, you are just getting, when people are dying and getting 1%, that means you are not growing. China is also in negative. The other European countries 1.1 only. India is 1.6. Till 2070, that means another good 45 years, which is you are going to be productive at that point of a time. The next 45 years, India is going to be the most productive. Can you imagine? India is going to itself contribute almost 9% of the total world's GDP. Can you imagine? 9% of the total world's GDP will be from India. And who are these people? The youngsters like you, not people like me, the old people who will die probably in another 10 years' time. So think about it. And many people say, this World Bank or these figures, we don't know whether it's going to happen or not. Don't worry. Recession is not going to come to India, I can assure you, for one particular reason. The two-third of the total GDP production is being consumed by Indians only. We don't have any threat from any part of the world of recession. Recession is never going to hit India. That is all you need to keep in mind. Now, the last thing which I would like to tell you, the political reason as well, that just in 2019, 10 crore youngsters, those who attained the age of 18, have become the voters. You'll be surprised, 90% of these people have voted. Again, the people like me, they don't go and vote. So that means who are selecting the people in this country are youngsters. I also want to talk about a FDI, which all of you should work on it. Foreign direct investment. As of today, I'm giving you the data because I love data, and my wife helps me in providing this data. Whenever I go for any kind of a talk, just 20 minutes before I get the new data. As of date, $992 billion have come to India since 1947. And you know, 55% of this particular FDI has come only in last 70 months. That means almost 523 around billion dollars have come in the last 70 months. Please, I'm not giving any credit to any government. Please, I'm not as a government spokesperson I'm talking about. No, no. I'm talking about how India is doing well. And government is you and me. The government is not a separate body. So, now listen carefully. This $523 billion which has come in last 70 months, it has come in 61 sectors, in 31 states and union territories, and from 167 countries. Look at that. 167 countries are having a faith in us. They are investing here. Where are you? What you are thinking about yourself? Why can't you get FDI in your own business? These days, I want to tell each one of you that getting money through the private equity, venture capitalists, blah, 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 is not difficult at all, provided you should know how to sell your product. When I say product, doesn't mean it's a manufacturing. Whatever you are good at it, not difficult. There is no point going to the banks and asking for loan. Please don't do that. The private equity, they have a lot of money and they are not getting people like you where to invest. And you should also know the startups, the failure rate of startups in India is hardly 7 to 8%. Because you just start, get the evaluation done, and then you keep on selling it. People are minting money these days because there is a lot of money. As I said, $2 trillion. I could see next 7 years coming, and it is all to the service industry. Time and again, I'm saying the same thing that, hey, have a vision. You just have to have a vision and a critical thinking or a strategic thinking. Combine these two, you would do so very well in your life. You need to do that. The another thing, since I'm talking to the alumni, I just wanted to tell you whatever little bit I know. Although I can take another half an hour talking about singing the praises of our own country, that we are number 1 in pharmaceutical, we are number 2 in steel, we are number 2 in cement, we are number 3 in automobile. But all these requires a lot of lawyers. Does not mean that you have to be into a general counsel office or you have to be into the corporate law. Every small scale industry also is looking for a lawyer so that they can vet things so very well. You people are indispensable. So I know most of you are lawyers, so that's why I'm talking about this. But only thing is the vision. If you have a vision, you can win over the whole world. Today, I could see, yesterday we just went out for a dinner. I could see that there are many eateries have come up in Chennai itself, and different kind of food. Chennai people are eating North Indian food. When I come from North India, I don't get a South Indian food. Because the things are rapidly changing. Am I changing? And we are ready. In fact, Professor Padmanabhan is very keen to establish a big incubation center where we will definitely award the best of the projects which you get it, and we'll try to give some seed money as well, so that not that few alumni, but the entire, you should get these kind of ideas, that how feasible these ideas are. If I'm talking about my business school, we have 175 faculty members. They all come from different industries, and we all can sit and we can see that how feasible these things are. I also would like to invite you, and also want to tell you on a lighter note, we miss you. You know why? Because you were much better behaved than the present lot. We were not having a yellow box at your time. We were not having that kind of a, it was there? You must have passed out in the past 4-5 years back, but I'm talking about 2014 batch. We were not having many things which we are having at the moment. So we miss you because of that. We said, oh, the previous batches were excellent because you never gave us a trouble. Now, students have their own issues, which we respect. As Paddy talked about, you are most welcome to come, and I would request you to come and teach at least a 1-credit course. Because what you are going to teach, you are going to get the practice into the classroom. The pragmatic approach into the classroom, that's what students are looking for. They are not liking people like me with the gray hair and said, this man doesn't know, he's talking theoretical things. So my request to all of you, we cordially invite you to come. And I want to thank Paddy and Gaurav immensely that they could organize. And I know that coming on a Sunday afternoon is not easy, but thank you very much for coming. And I hope that today's discussion will be fruitful and we'll all participate. And as you are an alumni, please keep in touch with us. We may be able to help you or assist you, but I'm sure you will definitely be a great help and support to our university. Thank you very much.
I think this nation is doing wonderfully well, but today's topic, I thought, is absolutely relevant because I think 20 years back when I was a fresher, out of law school, I went and joined Wipro, and the discussion that was happening way back in 2000 is whether computer is going to take away the jobs from, humans. IT was a sector that was evolving, and I think from 90, this debate and conversation was happening, whether IT or emergence of new technologies is going to take away jobs. I think today we are in another paradigm shift. Today the discussions are much more serious in nature. The technology is more sophisticated in nature. I don't know how many of you have got a chance to read about generative AI. Anything that can be reduced to data, the machines can tend to do better than human beings. Anything. Like, for example, the Stanford Codex project is fascinating. The Stanford Codex project is a project which both the Stanford IT graduates and the law school graduates came together and created an AI based on data to predict future legal disputes in US. They want only 4 parameters. 1, the point of law. 2, the lawyers who are arguing this case. 3, the judges who will be deciding this case. The moment you put the parties, both the lawyers, the judges, and the point of law, the Stanford Codex project would predict which party will win, and the probability of prediction is what we are talking about. 80% of the time, the Stanford Codex project would predict who will win the case. This is creating a different kind of a shift in US where people are not wanting to go for litigation, rather dispute resolution, alternative forms of dispute resolution. This is very, very interesting. The second thing which I wanted to put, and I think the panel is going to talk, is IBM Watson. The first artificial intelligence lawyer created by IBM Watson came to the limelight in 2017. And the new version is in existence today. Almost all the top law firms have IBM Watson, which is doing the research work and the writing work much, much better than any lawyer. I want to put this question to any field you may represent, or to the panelists who are here. The question that I want to put is, does this AI, the age of automation, is it going to take away the human capabilities? Or how artificial intelligence will work alongside human lawyers? Is it time that lawyers ought to embrace technology? Is it time that teachers, I think the generative AI is not just threat to lawyers, but also to teachers. Please go and read BITS Pilani. The first online program they have, 40% of the online programs is taught by a generative AI, which does not exist. The face is there, the voice is there, but it's not a real teacher. And those are very popular programs today. It is a question that we need to ask. And I'm sure that today's panel is going to discuss these questions. And I really want to welcome all the panelists today. I also want to welcome our moderator, Prem Rajkumari. She was actually the first LLM passed out. We started with a 2-year LLM program. She was actually the original part of the 2-year LLM program. We also have other alumni today. R. Pallavarajan, batch LLM 2022. He is founder and director, PMS Bazaar. We have Darshan Pandya, who is CEO and legal advisor, multi-purpose manpower agency. Darshan, if you could just, thank you. We have Sanjana Sitaraman, who is batch of Global MBA 2022. She is a senior research analyst, Feedback Insights. Sanjana. We have Shweta Raju, who is assistant manager, legal, Sun TV Network Limited. So we have good people, and we have an amazing moderator. Our professor of eminence, Dr. Sanjeev P. Sani, will also be part of the panel discussion. And, you know, as audience, feel free to interact, feel free to ask questions. Let's see how this moderation goes. And the topic is Dawn of the Augmented Workforce, Amplifying Human Capabilities in the Age of Automation. Prem Rajkumari, it's all yours.
Thank you for the warm invite, Paddy, sir. Respected Sani, sir. Your special address was indeed very, very special. You know, to all the alumni here, I believe everybody would agree with me, and very inspiring, sir. And I should also say that I'm really very pleasant and happy to be a part of our institution, you know, OP Jindal Global University. The forerunner, be it anything, be it law or business or anything, our institution is one of the forerunners. AI, artificial intelligence, is just popping up, and we're having a discussion today on it. So without wasting much time, so I'll go into the topic of the dawn of the augmented workforce, amplifying human capabilities in the age of automation. I believe it refers to the integration of humans, integration and collaboration of humans and automation. And I don't think it is going to replace humans as such, but as the topic says, it augments and amplifies human capabilities. Now, I would like to give 3 instances before I plan to open the panel for. So one instance is, we've all heard about robotics used in surgery. Now, we also have Apollo, which is very close by, hardly half a kilometer to 1 kilometer from this place. So we use robotic surgeries. Now, John Hopkins University in the US has actually gone to the next level by using a robo called Star without human intervention at all. So if at all a robo is doing a surgery and there is a complication, who is responsible? Is it the programmer, the one who has coded the program for the robo? Because the robo can't be sued. So we need to think about it, first one. Second instance, I'll again take the example of Chennai. So there is a company called GPS Renewables, and they have collaborated with hotels like ITC Taj, wherein there is a lot of food waste. Food waste are just dumped. And again, it is a hazard to the environment. So this collaboration has gone to the next level, wherein they are preparing biogas out of this food waste. And this biogas plant is completely automated. And though the plant is physically situated in Chennai, it is not operated from Chennai. It is operated from a remote location. There's a company called IntelliFlex in the US. It has also got an office in Chennai with the same model, wherein the office in India is being operated by the one in the US. Now, in case of, be it anything, in case of an error, who is responsible and what are the laws that will govern? Is it the Indian laws that are going to govern or the laws in the US which is going to govern? And the conflict in the jurisdiction, conflict in the laws, who is going to address all of this? The third instance, we've all heard about EVs, the next generation electronic version of cars. And there are a lot of errors of late, wherein we find that there are some accidents happening, it's burning, all of a sudden they catch fire. Now, there have been a team who has worked on this, and they found that the battery, when charged above 80%, tend to catch fire or cause fire. Now, how do we stop that? We can include sensors by way of automation, which in a way can try to identify the error and stop it at an initial stage itself. Now, anybody can comment on this? Over to the panel.
Hello everyone. First I would like to express how happy and delighted I am to sit here in front of my fellow alums. Okay. Coming to the question. The first part, I still believe that AI is not considered as a legal person in India as of yet. If not, please correct me. But this situation arises because most of us are still not updated on AI and the true potential of AI. I would like to give a very small example. Back in the days where kings used to be transported with palanquins, they are basically a carriage where 4 people have to lift them, and it's a very prehistoric, it's an old time thing. And then it evolved to wheels, where carriages had wheels, and then after that the invention of motors, and then it came to vehicles, and then now we have electric vehicles and self-driving vehicles. In this course of time, we definitely have seen jobs and employments that have been reduced. Like when you're going to take the example of 4 people carrying the carriage, it then led to 1 person riding a horse carriage, and then to a driver or chauffeur. But this situation is also giving us a lot of opportunities to make use of it. There are new jobs that are created, there are new opportunities, and when there are new opportunities, I believe that organizations and employees together must harmoniously accept AI, embrace AI. In fact, today's topic is not, a threat, is AI a threat to human force, but it is amplifying human workforce with automation. So I believe that we have already subconsciously accepted AI as a part of our life, and So amplifying AI into organizations by way of mentorship, leadership from AI personalities, and then upskilling from the educational centers. They are all good ways to, improve the AI knowledge. So I feel like upskilling and reskilling of our current population is something to take note of. And our population is huge, around 140 crore people, and our average age is around 28. So I believe that we are still very young people and we can upskill ourselves very easily. Upskilling ourselves is necessary for today.
I would like to thank I'd like to thank Ramanujan sir and Sanjeev Sahani sir for giving me this opportunity. Not so a while ago I passed out from general, so I was part of the pioneering batch, and it's an amazing opportunity to be part of the campus. So just to add to what you have said and the question which was asked, reskilling, upskilling, irrespective of the advent of AI, we have been focusing on that. So one question which was asked was, we have systems which are prone to errors. Who is going to take responsibility for that? So I think any system, when it comes into play, there's going to be error, and it's an iterative process. So it will go through a lot of iterations, and the employees have to be trained in such a way that they have to manage these systems responsibly. So one aspect is that you reskill yourself in using the technology. In other aspect is that how do you manage these systems so that they are less prone to failures. So that's where the concept of responsible AI, all of that comes into picture. And before all of this, we need to evaluate if the organization is really ready to adopt AI in the first place. Just because everyone else is doing, do we really need AI in the first place is the real question. Only then we can get into the discussion of do we need reskilling, upskilling, or other aspects of that. Because all organizations at this moment, they're not ready to adopt AI. Because the awareness about AI is still in a growing phase, right? Earlier, it was just the technology without intelligence. Now we have technology with intelligence, which is something new. And anything new, it kind of brings in a turbulence in the workforce saying, okay, this is something which it has come here to take away my jobs, right? So first is to start with the awareness, evaluate your organization's capabilities and see if we are ready to adopt AI in the first place. And then comes in the question of, are we aligned to our objectives, and can we reskill our employees in such a way that they feel like it's not a threat but an enhancement to what I'm currently doing.
But hasn't AI become an integral part, and the future, whether we like it or not, we have to adapt to AI?
Yes, we have to adapt. That's what I'm saying. But before even you want to adapt, you need to have some level of awareness is what I'm saying. Because recently we conducted a survey to understand what is the implication of generative AI and what is the reskilling opportunities that executives or senior management is looking for. The first thing is that they say we are not sure if we are ready to adapt to AI yet, because we need to evaluate our organization. I understand that there are people who are portraying themselves as front runners in adoption of AI. Their service offerings have now aligned more to AI, but I want to evaluate my organization first. And once I have that level of awareness, then I can go forth and do all of these changes in my organization. Because that's a very important step is what I understand with the discussion which I have been having with seniors as well. It's not just because someone else is doing, you need to, because it differs for industry to industry, it differs with various contexts. So we need to evaluate and then take up the next step.
You know, I want to generate some good discussion. Question is not AI. Let me tell you, AI will never take a pilot seat. AI will always continue to be a co-pilot. What is the problem? Problem is skill set. Are we engineers? Are our engineers are competent enough to take the industry or service industry to the higher level? You'll be surprised to know if I give you a few data. You'll start calling me a data man. only 11% of our engineers are getting the job of their choice. Metallurgical engineers, 1600 metallurgical engineers they pass out every year. Out of that, 96% metallurgical engineers work in non-metallurgical industries. It's a complete base. They are working in banks, Gridley Bank or Stanchine Bank. 17% of the total MBAs are getting the job of their choice. They just have to work because, I hope you are aware that a place like Haryana or a few other states, there 60% of the engineering colleges, seats are vacant. I'm talking about don't ever think only IITs or NIITs. No. They are doing very well. So best of the students are going there. But I'm talking about another almost 4,700 business schools which gradually they are shutting down. What are you going to do with that? On the one side, we are saying a lot of service industry is going to boom. We don't have a right kind of people. So what is this? It is basically a gap between the academia and industry interface. Our MBA students have no idea what happens in an industry. Our professors, I'm not talking about Jindal, okay? They are very good. But in general, the professors have no idea what happens in the industry. How to develop that interface is the biggest challenge in India. What we are talking about, that augmented workforce, not easy. How we should bridge the gap between industry and academia is the major question. So that's, I would like we to discuss about it. You have any comments?
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks for inviting me here. The biggest challenge, people discuss about, I would say that there have been too much of hullabaloo around whether this AI will destroy the employment, whether it will augment, this kind of questions keep arising. But I don't think so. AI will destroy the employment as such. I believe that it will multifold and it will help the economic growth for sure. Sir was giving a lot of data in the beginning, right? We are sitting at 3.75 trillion. So to reach first trillion, it took 60 years as such. I think we have reached in the year 2007 was the first trillion. And for second trillion, it took about 7 years. And for third trillion, it took about 5 years. And because of this COVID and rebound kind of things, I believe that it might take an additional year to reach, maybe for 4 trillion, it might reach maybe next 6 months down the line, 6 months to 1 year. And from here on, sir was also talking about that, India will reach 10 trillion GDP by 2030. I believe this AI will play a significant role to take up our economy from 4 trillion to hardly 4 trillion to 10 trillion from here on. But only challenge what I see here is that, the role is getting replaced by AI. Just to give an example of my own company, the AI says that, the data says that you will have to put a branch. We have been discussing, contemplating that where we'll have to put a branch in terms of expansion. In terms of our thought, we thought that Delhi is a great place for us to put a branch because there is a high potential client, because our business is more of high net worth individual. Whereas Surat is a very, very small city, right? But even though it's high potential, but comparing with Delhi, it is significantly lower. But data AI says clearly that we'll have to put a branch at Surat, not at Delhi. So Delhi comes at a third priority. Second priority was, Bangalore. But we have taken a call that we'll go ahead with Delhi, but finally we are forced to close Delhi branch eventually. And we are now today, we have a branch at Surat. And Surat branch is doing successfully greater than what we anticipated. So that is the power of data, and that is the power of technology, and that is the power of AI. What we found in our journey, now let's say in the last 3 years or even 5 years for that matter, we never thought that we will have a business analyst at our company. We never thought that we will have, 15, 20 developers at a company. We never thought that we'll have some 3, 4 digital marketing expertise in our company. What we all thought 5 years back is that we will have a great sales team, we will have a support team, and we'll have some clerical team. But we found that the AI data clearly tells that, the next round, it could be 1 year, 2 year, incremental 5 years kind of growth, it will definitely be not that what we think. It is more of a serendipity, right? But ultimately what we found, what AI is trying to do, if you look 10, 20, 30 years back, if end of the day it's all about consumer, whether we consume a product or whether we consume a service. The choices were very limited. Today AI gives multiple choice and it is very relevant choice. So as a founder of my company, I always think that, there'll be some mindset at the board level, like this is what we have to do, but consumer expectation would be completely different. This gap has been significantly filled by the data and AI. I think there'll be a tremendous growth from here on, and AI will definitely support. And one challenge which I missed to tell is that we found in that 5 years journey, the number of clerical job has been significantly reduced. But whereas the new role has been significantly increased. I think this kind of serendipity will keep happening for next 5 years, 10 years. We have to be prepared for that.
Are organizations ready to adapt AI?
They have to.
And my next question is, what are the practices that have already been adapted to go through this transition phase?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. To add on to what the panelists and Sir has said, I would want to say whether AI is replaceable as or not, it is definitely not for me, not because I'm a lawyer or a practicing advocate. The reason being, we should not forget that AI is something that is made by humans. It's not something that humans are not involved in it. The data that it is producing is something that is fed in by humans only. It's not something that it is generating by its own. So are humans replaceable? Definitely not, according to me. And to answer your question, what management's role is in this? It is to have a very good leadership who think on a positive note, to make sure that the employees are comfortable adjusting to the changing environment. The employees are well aware of what technology is and how it needs to be used, rather than just focusing on because the fellow competitor is using AI, I should use it or not, is not something that I would accept that fact as something that should go for. So according to me, it should be, the skill set needs to be given its forte. People should definitely come forward and accept that AI is the future, or rather the present itself, and accordingly make changes to the progress, and accordingly make support and get feedback from its employees once it's put in force.
Definitely, there's no doubt that organizations would prefer technology-known candidates. Now, how does an institution, an academic institution, how should it support its students, or provide some programs to its students so as to train themselves to be one among them, to be a part of this organization, or be it any organization?
It's high time that industry and academics go hand in hand. They need to come forward and together, and they should implement certain courses, certain practical internships, rather than just having theoretical knowledge. We should focus on practical as well. So that needs to be implemented.
Paddy sir has something to say.
I think everybody is being very nice to human beings here. Let me be the one in the room who's going to get called the grey elephant out. Let me tell you what is, at least what I think it is going to happen. I'm coming out of meetings with 25 to 30 law firms in Bangalore, and my interaction with many of the partners, And I want you to know how law firms are thinking. You should know this, because if you don't know, then I'm hiding something from you. I can't name the law firm, but this law firm, which is having 800 lawyers, is thinking that in next 5 years, their number of lawyers in these law firm would be reduced to 1/5 of what their total capacity is. And the rest of the workforce would be AI. I'm not joking, I'm not kidding. This is coming from one of the top-notch managing partner of a top-tier law firm. I want to put three things in front of you. I started my conversation saying, anything that can be reduced in the data form, the machines can do very well. I'll give you an example what I mean, data. In India, we have a common law system. Everything that we do has to do with ratio decidendi and precedents. And these precedents are already written in form of judgments, and these are all the data on any particular law that is readily available. If this can be coded, and if this can be easily articulated, forget about AI as a lawyer. I'm thinking something big. There is going to be a generative AI judge who is going to be sitting and hearing and dismissing cases on Negotiable Instruments Act, which are taking 20 years for a small court to decide what constitutes dishonor. It's taking 20 years. And I will tell you that in next 10-15 years, the time for resolution of these disputes will be 2 to 3 years, because what amounts to dishonor we know, what are the judgments we know, and if we know all these aspects and if it can be coded, you put what the question of law is, what the question of fact is. I'm looking at a generative AI judge, who can sit. Don't think it is a problem. Think it as a means or a solution to the existing problems that you have, right? I think that is going to help looking at 20, 30 years of case that you fight in the trial court and the number of, pendencies that you have. I think you need to look at what is going to be the futuristic way of resolving disputes. I am very clear that if humans do not embrace how to use these new technologies, either you will be replaced or people who know this technology will replace you. This much is definitely going to happen. The reason why I'm trying to say this is the mundane work of research, writing, mundane work of looking for a judgment, looking for a precedent. Since all these are data that is available, the machines can do 20, 30 times faster and in a better way than human beings what we are doing today. I wanted to stop here, but I wanted to be the person who's going to pull the grey elephant out of the room and say that we have to take this conversation seriously, not just as a passing statement. Thank you.
I slightly beg to differ with Paddy, because let me tell you one thing. Artificial intelligence is not a new thing. Way back, I'm talking about when the computers came into existence in 2000 itself. I'm talking about 25 years back. Whenever I was looking for a ticket in Australia, immediately the hotels in that particular city were popping up. So that is through artificial intelligence. Never forget one thing, artificial intelligence are being run by superhumans only. Artificial intelligence are not going to give us ready-made things. Artificial intelligence, one of you also talked about, will increase the jobs. They will not eat up our jobs. I think we should take artificial intelligence as a supporting technology rather than, let me tell you, why people go to school. There are only 3 reasons. One is social intelligence, second is emotional intelligence, and third is artificial intelligence. When today I say 2 plus 2, 4, from where 4 is coming? From the subconscious mind. My subconscious mind deals with the artificial intelligence automatically. I can go and talk to you, since I'm a student of psychology, I can talk to you through MRI that how memory or our brain or cognitive abilities, it functions. It is through AI, because The memory, whether it is a visual recall or a recent memory or a remote memory or a recognition and everything, is totally based on artificial intelligence. There is nothing new what we are talking about. When we relate things and we come to know about certain things just while processing through cognitive functions, it's artificial intelligence. So my question is, I don't think that we need to debate much on artificial intelligence. We need to talk about how I can get a skilled manpower. When I'm talking skilled, I'm not talking about carpenters or plumbers. I'm talking about to run the service industry. Now the question is, Prem Raja Kumari, do you think, I'm not talking about Jindal Global Law School, it's one of the best law schools, we know that. But do you think that as of today we have 1,700 law schools, that all these law schools, when the students are passing out, they are getting the BCI license, they are real lawyers? Are they being provided enough? Similarly, with MBA or engineers and all that? No. There we need to spend time. How we get a trained manpower. Artificial intelligence is going to help us anyway. I'm not going to speak much.
Yeah. So when it comes to the education standpoint of view, I would like to give a small example. So last month when my cousin was going through his exams, he gave me a very interesting statement. When during our days in school, we probably used to have, let's say, math period, and then we used to have a doubt, maybe, and then we'll have to go back home, we have to sit and think about the doubt, we'll have to wait for the next period, next day to come, and our teacher to come back. But my cousin says, okay, it's okay if I miss the class, I'll just come home and ask ChatGPT. That is the world we live in right now. So education systems should embrace AI. ChatGPT, as we all know, is a natural language processing system, and it gives us a really amazing standpoint where one could easily just ask questions and understand. So if every student start to think that, I can just go back home and ask ChatGPT, then what is the relevance of today's education institutions? Schools really need to adapt all this, and we have to start giving priority to artificial intelligence right from a very young age. So when artificial intelligence is taught right from school, I think they get more employable. I think today's question is not about whether I can find an employment, but it is rather, am I employable? So when education institutions give more time and resource into building the knowledge of artificial intelligence and impart it on their students, they get more employable. And then universities, they really have to start giving them more courses on AI. And as we know, with the intervention of online education, one could simply take up courses on AI, and definitely that improves the students' capability to be more employable.
I want to add on what Darshan said actually. He's very right when it comes to using of ChatGPT. If people are going to use ChatGPT for drafting or just mere research purpose, it's going to just make people lazy, and they are definitely going to be replaced by other skill set people. It's a very wrong method of using AI is what I feel. We need to do our basic, improve our skill set in different manner. If this can be taken care by some other AI or some other technology, we need to improve in some other medium. We need to do what is required, that is need of the hour. We cannot do the same thing that we did 20 years back or 15 years back, because it's evolving technology. We cannot become lazy and become like so dependent on AI that we can't do mere research work also. I mean, you get from where I'm coming. It's just like you need to be, AI needs to help us, not the other way around and make us lazy is what I feel. Then it becomes very replaceable. Not by AI, but from different, different set of people who are very...
Yes,
Sorry,
of course.
I don't know if it's open for me.
Yes, it is, please.
Yeah. So
Hi everyone, my name is Samadhyata. I just wanted to jump in because the conversation is turning towards education. So I'm a lecturer at Vinayaka Mission Law School. These are my colleagues and former alumni friends. So there's a bunch of us there, so feel free to drop by and say hi. But very, very quickly, I think it's very important to talk to bouncing off of this. And I think the question that was asked is what really is the relevance of education if a student can skip class, go home, learn their math question online. And I think that's a great question, but I don't think education is irrelevant. And I think the question that all of us need to be asking then is what is education? Because it can no longer just be information dissemination. Because if we limit it to information dissemination, then it's not laziness, right? We have an effective tool, we will use the tool. So really what our job becomes is people engaging in training or people engaging in education is now we're no longer teaching information, we're teaching how to learn. And that's the skill that we need. We need to teach students resilience and we need to teach students how to keep learning because the world is changing at an alarming rate. So not how to use AI or how do I generate the best prompt for ChatGPT, that they learn on their own. In fact, they probably know it a little better than we do. But it becomes about what is the questions to ask or how do I look at this thing from 10 different angles so then I can ask my ChatGPT the question from 10 different angles. And the thing that it then produces is a more complex output. And that becomes the purpose of education. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it critical thinking. You can call it analysis. There's many words that you can use for it, but that is the purpose of education. And I'm very glad that Dr. Sani spoke about the social aspect of education because if we're no longer so concentrated on, sorry, I have many feelings about this. I'm going to take a minute to just like get through my point. If we're no longer so focused on information dissemination, then we can actually fulfill the real purpose. Because if I'm teaching my students to question everything, then the ultimate goal is that that builds empathy. And that's something we see greatly lacking in the way that training happens today. An engineer, so I have a sibling who did an engineering course. Engineering students have no conception of identities and how these things interact, no conception of power dynamics. They think all of that is frou-frou humanity stuff. But that's the reality of our world. And I think that becomes where education should go. We need to start joining the dots better. We need to start training students to ask the how questions and the why questions, and then the information part, they can use these tools and figure out. So just to quickly add my 2 cents on education is still very much relevant. We just need to slightly change what it is we draw the boundaries of education around. That was my...
Yes, absolutely well said. Again, AI is very smart. ChatGPT is very smart that it can make any answer look very affirmative and one could just believe that it is true. But unlike everything, automation and AI is created by humans and humans are not perfect. We all have flaws and similarly AI also has flaws. Definitely one just blindly following it could lead to disaster because ChatGPT is a natural language and it looks so affirmative. You can never find that it's giving you a wrong information if you just copy paste it. So definitely that is something to highlight. And education universities, educational institutions really have to start teaching them, not just teaching them, but actually state what are the cons and pros of AI. And if used in, if it is used properly, then I think it could aid the education system today, even for teachers and for students. Because the last thing teachers would want to do is, still use the old method of corrections or going through hundreds of papers, and it becomes very monotonous. So when AI is able to assess that, but obviously they cannot just blindly rely on it. They still have to have a monitoring system. So in collaboration with AI, I think education could be taken to the next level, and that makes someone, a candidate, more employable in today's world of AI.
So teachers should also equip themselves with the updated AI techniques.
Definitely.
We have another question from the audience.
I'm Narayan and I'm assistant professor from Chennai Law School. My question is to Paddy sir and Sani sir, and we're happy to listen from both of them. We are talking AI, we are talking ChatGPT, everything. How well do you think ethically we can use this? Because I know Jindal is very particular about plagiarism and I know they are very particular about doing original work. Since in the time of AI, how do you think as a faculty member we should train students to properly use AI in their research writing and other aspects? Is there any policy in place in Jindal so that we can also understand the same?
Okay. the, the question is relevant because, we just conclude our academic council meeting and Dr. Sani put me in the task force for identifying and solving this exact problem as to how you can understand what is created by ChatGPT. Is it plagiarized? And what is the definition of plagiarism given the new technology we have in terms of ChatGPT? It is a very complex question. ChatGPT is a generative AI. As of now, the intellectual property rights does not understand or accept properties created by artificial intelligence as a property. So you cannot actually get intellectual property rights protection for them. It's not a copyrightable. ChatGPT work is not copyrightable. If it is not copyrightable, then whatever ChatGPT creates can also not be plagiarized. In technical definition, what is plagiarism? That's something that you copy, right? But can you copy something which is not copyrightable? You cannot. It is as good as using something in the public domain, right? So the question is very complex because ChatGPT is a generative AI. Intellectual property right as of now only covers property rights created by humans, not legal persons, and therefore everything ChatGPT creates is not copyrightable, and therefore everybody who copies from ChatGPT are not plagiarizing it. So the definition of plagiarism does not come when we are copying it from ChatGPT. But that is technical. From an education standpoint of view, it is very important, right, to train the faculty to understand what could be a work that is coming out of ChatGPT is going to look like. So it becomes more important for faculty training, and unfortunately even now, even today, whatever you create, like be it Turnitin or be it any sophisticated software which can actually say what is plagiarism, you can write another code to make it sure that it is not plagiarizable, right? It's all code, which is a superior code. You can just keep writing code after code after code. But I think the larger question is, I think if ChatGPT is going to be tremendously used by students, I think the exams and the kind of assessments will dramatically change. I think education institutions will not go with take-home exams or research paper, and will go with traditional exams, which are more application-oriented, more problem-based, which are not, something which are not for ChatGPT to solve. The skills of the exam, the skills of the assessment will change in a long run. This is what I would say. But still we are trying to find a solution for how to catch that something which is plagiarized by ChatGPT. So we are still working on that, but this is something I wanted to respond to you quickly.
I know I'm asking for a trouble because I know that over 90% people are here lawyers. Lawyers are expert in confusing other set of people. So is what I could see today. Now you tell me, in all of us, we have done class 10th and 12th board exams. In the board exams, whether it is the school or the teachers or the board, they exactly want whatever have been taught to you, it should come into the answer sheet exactly that way. The same set of words they are looking for. This is the culture which we have developed over the periods. And I want to tell you that whenever these answer sheets are being marked, there's some answer key comes from the CBSE. They say if they have written 8 words, give them 10 marks. If they have written 6 words, give them a 6 marks, blah, 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 blah. Now see this transition when from school education to higher education, the same set of students are coming. And my distinguished professor like Padmanabham, when he teaches the class, and if they replicate exactly the same terms, the way he has told them, he will say it is a plagiarism, it is a copyright issue. Isn't, these people, a set of lawyers, they say that when a teacher writes on a whiteboard and if you are copying exactly on your notebook is a copyright issue. I really wonder how we are going to grow. But the last point, and again I've told you many times, is why we are only talking about artificial intelligence? Why you are not talking about a human intelligence? I can replicate anything if I have seen. There is something called photo reading. Okay, if I see that, I can produce that exactly same. Would you say it's a copyright? It is the subconscious mind of a human being. The way the cognitive abilities are being spent. Even a human being is totally, then these set of people, the lawyers would say that if you are replicating the same thing, then you are under the copyright or plagiarism and other things. You can't do that. It's a human mind. Look at that. We take a lot of pride while saying that we have sent a Chandrayaan to the moon. And people would say it's a copyright. The other people who are going to follow those kind of things. No. It's a human intelligence. It's a super intelligence. Why we are worried about artificial intelligence? I really differ because, this one is our prevalent system. Another is what the whole West is talking about. We are trying to get it. I'm a little confused on this. Anybody?
I would like to add on to this. I beg to differ with you on this small aspect. Now, if at all my work is being replicated, what I seek is an acknowledgement for my work. Is all that I require. A due acknowledgement for the work that was created by me.
Good. Madam, what you have done to the basmati and the turmeric, which was the Indian patents, which has been taken over by the Americans, what you have done as a lawyer, madam, on that issues? You are talking about the village in a Jharkhand, where they don't have any kind of means, and the only system is to learn from the teachers and to replicate the same thing, where no law or a patent or a copyright issue comes onto that. We need to talk about that. I can understand that people would like not only acknowledgement, they want to make money. People would say that this is my patent, okay? And to a certain extent it is required, otherwise everybody can copy everything. But my question is, at what level? But in the school education and the higher education, it has to be little different. I can understand in a big hardcore sciences research, it would be difficult. But talk about the school education and the higher education, what we have. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I was planning on speaking a bit earlier, but hi, my name is Vikas. I'm a lecturer at Sa University. I teach law. So there are a lot of points that have been thrown up in the past few minutes. I'll try to quickly share my views on the same. The first thing is about, I think, before we speak very in depth about what artificial intelligence is and what is either the threat that it poses, some people think, or whether the help that it can provide, I think we need to understand the state of AI today. What can it do, what it cannot do, and of course this may change with rapid technological advancement. Maybe in 10 years AI would be doing things we can't even imagine that they are doing today. But in today's world, there are certain limitations to AI, right? For example, Professor was talking about, he imagines an AI judge in the future who could look at precedents, look at ratio decidendi, and give a decision in short time. Would that happen? My first thought with that is that in today's age of AI, with what AI is capable of doing today, I don't think that's possible. Because the first thing is because of the way the Indian legal system works. It is not a deficiency with AI technology. It's about how India's courts work. Now you can find as a lawyer, if you're preparing for a case, the same legal issue, same facts, similar facts, two different coordinate benches of the Supreme Court giving completely different judgments. I think ChatGPT will have a short circuit if you ask it to decide that issue. You'll have two different benches giving different judgments, same issue, same laws, same facts, right? What AI can't do in this situation is to creatively think of how to interpret the law, creatively think of how to interpret a judgment, and how you make different nuances within your specific fact scenario. That is something AI can't do today. Maybe in the future it might. The second thing, that generally creative thinking, creative interpretation is not something that AI is very strong at today. So when we are talking about upskilling ourselves, we need to think about how can we do things that AI can't do, how do we do that better, right? And for that, the answer to that is linked to the education system that my colleague was talking about and that was discussed over here. what skills are we providing to the students, right? I agree with my colleague from Vinayaka very specifically on the, I strongly agree with her on the point that we can't think of education the same way. It cannot be just, you know, this is the section, this is the case law, this is what the Supreme Court said in this, and just disseminate information to a student. If that is the way, and I'm talking about right from high school, right from the school level, way up until the higher education institutions, it cannot be just I'm giving you this information, but students need to learn A, how to think, B, how to learn, and C, how to creatively apply what they have learned and what they have thought about to create new paradigms, right? So this is the context in which I think we need to talk about AI, artificial intelligence and all of that. A very simple thing that we can do to train students in this manner is to change our way of assessment. It's very simple. It doesn't require, you know, massive policy changes within our educational institutions. For example, 2 years ago when I was teaching, my assessment models was very simple. You know, I'd give them a very unique factual situation and I'd say, write an essay on this, right? But in the past 1 year, what I'm seeing is that any time I ask a student to write an essay, it's very obvious that they go to ChatGPT, they say write an essay on this topic, they take it, they probably change a few paragraphs to make it look original, and they submit it, which is not really providing any skills to the students. They are not really upskilling themselves. All they're doing is conducting a search, copying, pasting, and changing a few paragraphs. So now my focus on when I give assessment to the students is to give them an assessment where the skills they need to use is not something they can rely on AI for. So the skills or the assessments that I give my students today involves creative interpretation of laws and has nothing to do with studying a case law, studying a Supreme Court judgment, or, you know, giving me a long essay or a critical analysis of a specific Supreme Court judgment. Simple example is this semester or previous semester I taught family law, right? So a thing that I can do today is just assign a movie for everyone that has something to do with family law issues, right? And then say apply Hindu law, Muslim law, Christian law and the Special Marriage Act to the characters in this movie and analyze the movie, the characters, the situations that they go through from the perspective of Hindu law, Muslim law, Christian law and Special Marriages Act and tell me what the solutions would be. Now this type of creative analysis to a movie plot while taking laws and then using judgments of various courts to come up with an essay is something that they cannot rely on AI for today, right? So as technology keeps improving, I think we need to change the way we look at, you know, assessing students. How do we look at, you know, giving or providing skills to students and assessing their skills in a different manner. And this cannot be just assessment. It also has to be in the way we impart education. You know, we can't just provide information and expect the student to come up with some really creative, absolutely amazing ideas while we are assessing them. So we need to rethink the whole way of sharing information or sharing knowledge and how we create these skill sets in our students. I think that is something educators, we, all of us have to be really aware of.
Totally agree with you. Absolutely. Yes.
Answering to your question, sir, I am a lawyer who is practicing intellectual property rights. So here in India, the process of granting patents itself is a little cumbersome. You know, they have these tests of novelty, non-obviousness, industrial application, whereas in US, granting a patent is very easy and obtaining a patent is very easy. And that's why there are so many innovations that are coming up in the US and less number of innovations in India. Because the process itself, you have to go through the process of about 4 years on an average. Though they say the minimum period is 2 years, on an average.
I've understood, but I will give you a very, very inside story about Chennai. I was asked by the UGC to examine 5 autonomous colleges over here. I don't mind naming one particular college, which is one of the best colleges, Presidency College, who has produced 2 Nobel laureates, C.V. Raman and Chandrasekhar. When we went there, you are talking about innovation, just listen to this. We asked the entire faculty, staff and students, would you like to continue to be with the UGC? They said no. They said, we want to be private, we want to be independent, because UGC do not give us even a single penny grant for research. They said, we get our salaries on the day, and I saw that particular college, I don't know what is the condition right now, I'm talking about 6 years back, you know, there was a lot of filth around. I asked the principal and I said that, you know, why there is a lot of this. He said, I get 2 lakhs of rupees from the UGC for the entire year for the cleaning purpose. And there is no research. Madam, research comes with money. Research comes with equipment. That is why you can't say that if America is doing a lot on innovation, why India is not doing it. We are a poor country. We don't invest on research. I would like to ask only one question to you on this.
Sir, we
How
do
many
innovation.
Indian industries spend money on R&D? Give me the data. You will come to know. How much Indian industry is spending on R&D? Hardly anything. We are copying the brand and other things from abroad and we are just manufacturing it here. We learn. So my question is, when you talk about innovation, it's not easy to do it in India. We don't have money. Yes, you want to ask a question.
Hello, my name is Vishal. I'm a law firm consultant and coach. I help lawyers to grow their practice. I'm also a mediator. So I want to just add something. So one thing I found in AI is what we put is what we get. You put bullshit, you get bullshit. You put good stuffs, you get good stuffs. So the thing is, sir was talking about judgments. So in case, he was also saying about it, right? So there are situations where you've seen that what happened last 20 years is not the same in today's generation. So that's where though the judgments which were decided already, if the AI is going to decide what's happening today, it might not be relevant. So that's where I think human intervention is needed. But again, we can't just rely on that also. Today we have around 5 crore cases pending. And that should be speedy. And we can't just rely on humans alone, asking 1,000 more judges to become advocates to become judges, and giving less qualified judges. So that is, I think, where the initial stage probably, I think AI would be a great asset. And again, accountability and credibility is something, a question. That's where maybe the appeals and the post stages, I think the humans would be. Thank you.
I want to respond to you, because you made 2 points. One, you said that, you do not see the end of the day very soon where we can have AI judges because you have been reading about similar facts, identical facts, but different judgments. I think that is the human error which the machines can also identify. The reason I'm talking to you about this is twofold, right? When you look at how the decisions have evolved, let's take it very simple, Negotiable Instrument Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, which is dishonor of check. The test is very clear, very, very clear as to what would constitute or what would amount for the courts to declare that this is a dishonored check. You don't need 10 years for the courts to sit on that and decide whether this is a dishonor of check, right? The reason why I'm talking to you and communicating to you is this something which, if coded properly, if the data of last 10, 20, 15 years, the judgments captured properly, it's very easy for people to come and say what amounts to dishonor, what does not amount to dishonor. One, if you know how a generative AI works, it's basically the identification of the data, the arrangement of the data, and the interpretation of the data through coding by machines, right? We may not have seen the day, but let me tell you, what inspires me that we're going to see this is the Stanford Codex project. If these technocrats, students who are part of the Stanford, IT in collaboration with law school, can predict with 80% probability who's going to win the case, I'm very much sure that the client do not want to spend money, millions of dollars with lawyers, knowing that he's going to lose the case. Rather, he's going to go with mediation, settlement, or any other way of resolving the dispute, but for litigation. Let me also tell you, in state of Chennai, IIT Chennai, in their Alumni magazine of 2021, they have started a similar project in collaboration with NLSIU Bangalore students. I'm just telling you this. In another 3 years, they may have a foolproof system of at least predicting, may not be 80%, because when Stanford Codex project started, they started with a probability of 40% prediction. Now today they've reached 80%. But there will be a system which will help the client to know what is the probability of winning or losing the case. That will help him to know whether he wants to go for litigation or not. This will be the start of a generative AI judge, which could be futuristic, but at least the start is already taking place as we speak.
Yes.
So I definitely, I mean, I prefaced my statement very clearly with the fact that, it might happen in the future. I'm not saying no. But even then in the future, I do think, at least with the level of imagination that I can see that AI has today, and I'm fairly certain the technology may surpass my imagination very quickly. It can definitely solve issues like 138 NIA. It can definitely solve very repetitive cases that we have. For example, a bail hearing, look at the conditions for bail and grant a bail. All of those things can really be quickened by AI. But can it replace a judge who is going... I feel a judge can definitely rely on AI to give judgments on these natures and drastically shorten the time required to pass a judgment and speeden up our judicial process. But there are still going to be very complex constitutional questions. There are still going to be extremely complex questions that are not just constitutional in nature, just changing the paradigm of law, changing how we look at law, changing how we interpret law to the existing social situations. The AI that we have today, I don't think is strong enough to do that. Right? Of course, we never know the increasing pace and speed at which technology rises, how it might be in the next 10 years. But I do think that as individuals, we need to learn how to adapt to this, how to use this best, and also be aware of what AI can do and cannot do. An over-reliance of AI without knowing what it cannot do is very dangerous. And the same way, dismissing AI thinking that it can't do anything, or dismissing AI thinking, it's not useful, it can't read, it's overhyped, without integrating it into our systems is also very dangerous. So we need to have a very realistic understanding of AI, try to understand what it can do, what it can't do, and how it can help us perform our functions better. I think that is the way we need to look at AI. The second thing, again, my friend from Vinayaka mentioned, was about engineers and those who develop this not having any sort of link between the social sciences, the social situation in the country, and the kind of tools that they're developing. They think, oh, this is all humanities, which is very true, right? Because throughout the world, right from 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, when we are talking about technology replacing human jobs, look at the kind of jobs that technology is replacing. It's all white-collar jobs, right? It's all white-collar jobs where we go to an office, where we regenerate things, where we code, where we think and reproduce things, reproduce knowledge. I think the social situation that we as technology that we need to find solutions for are not in the white-collar jobs actually. If you think about it, what are the jobs that I don't want humans to do? I don't want humans to clean human feces. Right? That is something I want to stop in today's world. There are a lot of jobs that exist without dignity, where the person doing these jobs is doing and living without dignity, but doing these jobs for a basic income. Right? Those are the jobs that we need to replace. Those are the jobs that we need to ensure that humans don't do. And we need to promote equality. We need to ensure that humans are given the space and the opportunity to do much more dignified labor, much more dignified jobs, and not be pushed into undignified labor for reasons of caste, community, or the level of economic status that they are in. So our technology solution should be, I think, first oriented towards this. Try to replace labor that we are forcing humans to do because of a lack of dignity or any other issue. But technology is improving or going away the other way. Maybe in the future, in 15 years, all of us will have to do these kind of jobs. And there will be no white-collar jobs for any of us. We really need to think of how we are developing technology and how we are using technology. I think we need to do both. Thank you.
Very well said, yes.
Last question.
Yes. Now, I find there are 3 lawyers in the panel. Now, how do you think AI can aid lawyers and minimize the work of, the traditional lawyering work?
Who
are the three? These three.
It is Shweta Raju.
You are also right?
Yes, Pallavarajan.
Yeah.
And Darshan Pandya.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't practice, but still I'm lawyer. But what I would say is that AI will help to bring in a lot of interpretation. Let's say that if I need to refer for any specific case, if I need to refer some of the cases, now probably there is a limit as a human. Probably I can go through probably what, 5, 10, 15, 20, but AI will help me to take almost all the cases with the similar cases, which will help me to interpret it, and it will save the time significantly and come out with a solution.
Exactly. Research is something that I would ask AI to do, so that it would minimize the effort that we need to put. We would rather do negotiations. We can go for arguments. Research is one thing, and drafting the repetitive work which we generally use, like we have a template. Template-based work can be done by AI, is what I feel.
The other lawyer.
Yeah. So AI coming into the legal field is very welcoming. There has been instances where AI has not been the best. There are examples wherein AI is basically a program wherein humans feed something and it starts learning something. You feed a picture of a cat or a dog, AI is going to recognize the picture of the cat or dog. And when AI is studying constantly, there may be biases, and it can always be unfair. Example, it can always associate a certain area to more criminal activity, which may not be the case, and that is that is a perspective where humans come into play, and they need their minds to think. It cannot always be a biased answer. So there are certain places where AI can definitely not enter. At least for now, it cannot. And there are places to replace mundane activities, research, and more time. I think AI has given us time in hand. That is the most precious the resource that AI has given us, and with that time, I think lawyers must use it very well to help develop.
So, being a practicing lawyer, we spend a lot of time on case research, finding out precedents, contract drafting. So these jobs can easily be, aided by an AI tool. So with this, we come to the end of the session, and we also look forward for another brainstorming session in the days to come. And thank you, panelists. Thank you, audience. Thank you, dear Professor Padmanabha Ramanujam and Professor Sani sir. Thank you very much for coming to Chennai and initiating this fireside chat. With this, we go to the next session, Alumni Speak. So any one of you can come and start talking.
May I now request Dr. Sani to honor the panelist, and then we will quickly invite the alumni to come up on the stage and get a token of appreciation from us. Yes, sir. We can do it here, sir. Please, all the panelists. Yes.
I'll request everybody, all the alumni, to please come on the dais and collect the mementos. Thank you.